Welcome to the Here and Now Show. I am your host, Lavonda Ray. And if you tuned into my Here and Now show, you know that I'm coming from the Midwest where we show in and show out. Gotta love your city. Hello, somebody. And if you tune into the Here and Now show, you know that the Here and Now show is a show where I took real life events and turned them into a positive living. Hello, somebody. And if you have any questions or any comments, feel free to leave it in the comments box because all voices matter. You know, um, if this is your first time being on this show, welcome to the show. I am so glad you're here. This is a show where your story matters, voices matters, and knowing that you're here, right here, it matters because life isn't all about being perfect. So let's start the show. If this is your first time joining me, welcome to the family. Welcome. I'll give you an applause if this is your first time tuning in. Welcome to the family. Thank you very much. And I want to say that I love all of you guys. I love each and every one of you guys for coming in every week and supporting me, like and subscribe. Sometimes on the Here and Now show, we may laugh a little bit. We may even cry sometimes, depending on the topic. But that's life. So family, friends. Share it with your coworkers and like it. Share it with that cousin that wants to keep going back to their ex. Share, like, and submit. But today's topic is a topic that I feel like, hey, that just about any of us can relate to. Today's topic is let things go. If it was meant for you to have it, it'd still be here and it wouldn't have left. How you doing? So now before I get into it, y'all already know, welcome to the show. How I like my jazz music. So before we get into it, if you want to grab your coffee, grab a sweet tea, grab a snack, whatever floats your boat. If you like me, you get something that gets you through the day. If you can grab that, we're gonna get into some jazz music before we get into it. So let's take a few seconds. Like I said, we can let that topic set in for a second, and I'll return in a few seconds. How do I do my stream? I stream it from YouTube. So with that being said, let's cast a little jazz before we get into our today's topic. So grab that snack, and I'll be back. Well, I'm not going nowhere, but we'll give a few seconds. If you tune into my show, you know that I love jazz music. It's a way to set the stage, set the mood for me, and hopefully for you too. So, with that being said, a few moments of jazz before we get into today's topic. Welcome back. Welcome back. I'll answer your question. I have been streaming since January of 2022 of this year, January 22nd of 2026. Thank you. So before we get into it, there's like I said, today's topic is let it go, and I'll try to answer your questions with that as I talk, and as I thank you. It's been ups and downs, but I'm still here, and I'm still loving what I'm doing, and I hope that you can enjoy it too. So so like I said, today's topic is let it go, because sometimes as people, we hold on to things, people, situation, and place and things because, we love that version of that person that we imagine that our life would be like with them. You get stuck with that image and you start to love it, and that's difficult. Yes, ma'am. I pray every day. How you doing? How you doing? Welcome. Sometimes, you grieve about things that haven't actually happened. So today's topic, I'm not just talking about relationships or just friendships. I'm talking about the dreams, people who walked away out of your life, people who wouldn't celebrate you or clap for you, and learning that sometimes God removes people and to get you your better place so you can have peace with yourself. And sometimes he doesn't necessarily have to remove that person, but he'll remove things to give you your peace back. So this isn't a conversation about bitterness. This isn't a conversation about revenge, because one day you will look back and you'll have to stop asking yourself, why did this happen? Or why did this person leave? And you'll start asking yourself, what is God making room for me to do? So, get up, pull up your favorite chair, sit down, because we're going to sit here for the next, I don't know, 30 minutes. So, we're just going to talk about it and have fun at it. Let me see. Could you really get big on doing these inspirations? Yes, you really can, because if you believe in what you're doing, God bless you. God bless you too. If you believe in your dream, you just keep feeding it and you keep watering it. And you can be very successful on your YouTube channel. It also comes with success with subscribers and people that follow you. And of course, God being your first stone before anything else. So, forever, when you hear dreams do come true, yes, they do. When you hear forever isn't forever, and I needed to learn that. There were so many things in life that I thought would never leave me. And I know that never is such a big word, but I thought it would be forever. And when you're living in that moment of that feeling, then forever seems like that's what you really believe, because in that moment you do believe that this is going to be forever. You would believe that this person would stay forever, or you believe that you are going to be friends with this person forever, or maybe you believe that your family member, that y'all would always be close and they would always have your back. But the thing about life is, people change, we change. You get older, you look at life different. Then your priorities start to change. You may start it off not having any children, and now you are blessed to have children, so then your priorities start to change. Your heart changes. And sometimes people simply just outgrow each other. And it doesn't mean that they're evil. Sometimes it just means that they took a second and said, hey, I have to do something for me. You have to stop. For me, I had to stop focusing and forcing spring flowers to bloom when it's dead winter. Hello, Ed, I'm glad to see you from Wisconsin. hmm yes, she thank God, yes, and I'm proud of her. Tell her I said congratulations. You know, um, yes, we can pray, and we can pray shortly after. I will definitely do that. You give me something that you just need for this moment, and I can, I'll tell you right now, I'm not a preacher or a minister. I'm just someone that believes in God as well as you do, and has lived life to understand that sometimes life be life, and then you got to let go and let God. So, what I can tell you, base, is that, God is forever with you. And even when it seems like there's nothing else that can be possibly, seem like everything is going wrong, it's really not. It is the motions that we go through of the situation. I love God too. God is the reason why we're here. God is the reason why we're talking right here, right now. Amen. And like I said, sometimes when you outgrow people, it doesn't mean that they were evil. Sometimes it just means that their season with you have completely ended. Like I said, I had to force myself to understand to stop watering flowers in the spring and expecting them to bloom in the middle of the winter. You know, One thing that I learned about walking into the healing, and I want you to also realize that when you're walking into healing, I had to realize, and I thought that all these things that hurt me and that made me feel a certain way, that, what, I held on to them because I didn't want to get hurt no more and I didn't want to feel this way. But letting go of things that were never meant to stay in your season will help your future grow. Because if not, if I kept holding on to things that wasn't meant to stay in my life, and that is for you too, you can't hold on to things that are not meant, because guess what happens? First of all, we love honestly because we are human. We are creation of God, and our nature is to love and to want love and to receive love and to be respected. But sometimes that doesn't happen. And being humans, if you don't let go of things that are hurting you, just being who you are, it'll be hard for you to go into your next season because you're holding on to the last season and you're risking losing your mental health, And when you and your physical health. So when your mental health is at risk, your physical health follows, you know, and especially voices. Yes, I feel you on that. And so you risk losing that when your mental health is at risk. We make mistakes because God is not bad. No, God is not bad, but we make mistakes and God gives us sun and rain and joy and amen. And that is a beautiful thing to say because that is very much true because we are not perfect. And God sees your mistakes before you even make them. And even when you make those mistakes, He's so forgiving that those mistakes doesn't dim our future because He has forgiven us. So you have to forgive yourself. You know, you have to let go. And like I said, if you do not, and it becomes a physical risk to your health, mentally and physically, and you don't want to play with your mental because your mental is important to your health. So I had to let go. You know, that person I had a person that was really close to me. And they watched me cry so many times. They never gave me a napkin. Um, they seen me climbing the walls of success and never gave me a congratulations. And I wanted this person so deeply to just, see that I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Apples, apples, apples. What does apples mean? I like apples. Um, and a part of me wanted that person to just, hey, hey, look how you're doing. You're doing great. But instead, I got silence. I didn't get anything. And sometimes being quiet and silence is the loudest action you can have because being quiet speaks so much louder because they're not saying anything. And sometimes, if you continue to wait on someone to tell you that you're doing good and you should keep going, you're going to be waiting a long time. And I thought, hey, if I wait a little longer, maybe my next accomplishments they'll notice it, or maybe they'll notice that the next dream that I have, and then they'll say, hey, yeah, I like that dream. Or eventually, you will start to set there and wither away because to you want them to want for you to be happy for you. Okay, I'm seeing all these apples and bananas. Apple juice sounds like a song. That's kind of cute. But that would be a good song to kind of put in rhythm when you're, feeling a little upset and flustered. Just say that in your head. That's like apples and bananas, and apple juice, and then your whole train of thought will change. But eventually, you stop waiting for that, and I did. I stopped waiting. I didn't wait for that. And 6 years in of waiting for someone to give me confirmation that I was doing good when I was already doing good and I didn't need a confirmation. I just wanted it. After 6 years, I realized that some people just can't give you those things because they never learn how to do it themselves. So if they've never learned how to give compliments or help a person along their way because they were never taught or they were never shown that, then how can they show you and how can they help you along your way? It is very hard, you know, and that's when also your spiritual life come into full effect because people will fail you, but God will never fail you. And I understand that. And the realization changed me. It hurt me to let people go because it hurts you to let people go. You're like, oh, I'm so connected with this person. I don't want them to go. But keeping them around was was hurting you. So and if they were meant to be there, then they wouldn't have been removed. Now, whether you had to remove them because you demanded that, because you wanted your peace and you wanted your boundaries, and sometimes people don't respect your boundaries because they were happy when you wasn't setting boundaries. And now that you're setting boundaries, like, whoa, they're standing on 10 now. Now it's weird. No, you're not weird. You're growing and you're growing. So choose grace. You know, it's hard to choose grace when you're going through a bitter situation, but I promise you, if you choose grace, peace will follow, and so let it go. Let it go because we all deserve peace. The best possible way that I can describe having your peace is like sometimes, picture this. If you're walking through the airport and Never give up, God. That's right. Never give up. Now, sometimes, emotional baggage to me could feel like this. If you're walking through an airport and you have like six heavy suitcases, you're weak and you're tired and you're carrying these cases by yourself and you're out of breath and you're just chuck, 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 chuck. And someone says to you, you don't have to carry all those bags alone. And then you say, well, these are my bags. It's kind of like our emotional baggage. That's kind of what it sounds like. It sounds like you're saying these problems belong to me. This disappointment belongs to me. This hurt belongs to me. This betrayal belongs to me. But wait, God says you don't have to carry all of that weight on your own. As a matter of fact, let go and let God. And when you realize that, I promise you, life will become so much more clear. Your vision, the way you feel, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you see things will become completely different because you let go of what was weighing you down and said, hey, I'm not doing this no more. And that these are not all, this is not for me to carry. So I have a question for you guys. Someone asked the question of, why is letting go so hard? I feel like because letting go feels like admitting that it's the story, it's the end of your story, but it's not. It's not the end of your story. You're letting go because it's so hard because you're so used to things going in a certain way and you get used to people doing things or certain things that was in a routine. And when you have to let that go, it feels different. That's why it can be hard. It's hard, but it can be, it's definitely possible. Another question, because when you let go, the beautiful thing about that is you're making room for new beginnings because you're letting go of the old. Someone also asked, can you forgive someone who's never apologized? Absolutely. One, forgive them for yourself, and two, sometimes it's okay if they can't apologize. Let it go. Let it go because you refuse to let what happened control your future because you're letting it go. So if they don't want to apologize, two peas in a bucket, who cares? Don't apologize. I apologize for me. And now you can move forward into the future because that does not no longer controls you. You can move forward with that. Another question was, what if I still love them? Love doesn't always mean that you're saying that I can't do this no more. You can still be in love with someone, but you can love them from a distance. You can wish them well from a distance. You can love the hell out of someone. But again, if it risks, your mental and it's risking everything around you, and then when they come around, it's like this cloud, but you still love them, it's okay. It's okay. But love them from a distance. And another question was, how do I know when it's time to walk away? When it starts to cost you your peace, that's how you know. God gives us farmland and earth, so we need to give his. That's right. That's exactly what you need to do, because that is exactly what God gives us. You are very much correct. Hello, and how you doing? Thank you very much. Yes, you're very correct. Um, God does give us farmland because He created it, and earth, and we always needs to give the wishes to God. I'm sorry, my door cracked. And then the next question was, what if they come back? Well, lock the door and don't unlock it. Keep it locked because sometimes they will come back. Now, then you have to ask yourself, if you allow them to come back, are they coming back because they've changed, or are they come back because they got lonely? Two different steps. Two different. It's two different things. So remember that if you allow them to come back, and if they left and you allow them to come back, you have to ask yourself those questions. Did they change or are they lonely? And that is two different things because loneliness can put you in situations you probably didn't want to be in, but you were there because you were lonely. So I would say if they come back, keep them back the way they were. Let them stay back because, every closed door, sometimes it can feel personal, until another door opens, right? And looking back, at all those doors that closed, and I look back sometimes and I used to be like, oh God, please open this door for me. And he did it. Well, looking back now, I'm glad he didn't open that door because he said no for a reason. He was protecting me from my peace. He was protecting me from my peace. He was protecting my peace so that no one else would have access. That temporary access to me would soon disappear because God was protecting me. So he wanted he didn't want them to have that temporary access. So that temporary access wasn't going to dim the future. So he protected me, you know. Um, and I know you guys have all heard this saying, if what was that saying? The saying that if they walk away, let them go. That is so powerful and that is so true because you holding on only weakens your future, and I can't express that enough. But I can say that that completely changes you when you look at it. If they walked away, let them go. And it hurts to let people go we love. We know this, right? It truly hurts. But in the end of your journey, you can finally look at it and say, wow, I let that go. Look how better I feel. I'm eating more. I'm eating more healthier. And I had to learn the difference between letting go of people because they had patterns over personalities, even with myself. How you doing? I had to, understand that there is a difference between patterns and there's personalities. And I had a lot of patterns that conflicted with my personality during my growth. So, you know, we know that a personality is what you meet at first, a representative. They're funny, you're charming, they're thoughtful. But then I had to see that the pattern completely override the whole personality. I mean, what I mean is like every day someone could be sending you good morning texts, in the evening the same. Every day they check on you and they're doing the same pattern. How you doing? How you feeling? Can you say my name for me, please, so I can hear my name? Well, I mean, if you would like pancake and serve three, there you go. Respectfully, there's your name. And so, uh, as for me, it's a difference, and understand that difference. So when I put myself out there, and I put myself out there because I had a lot of patterns that conflicted with my personality. Like I said, if you don't understand what that is, a personality is something that, when you first meet a person, essentially it's your introduction to meeting someone. When you first meet them, they're nice, they're charming, or they're get on your podcast. Initially, you just met them and try to spam you up with a bunch of funny fruits and things. Um, but again, that's a personality, again, not a pattern. And so, I led myself to understand that I had to fix that because it was affecting my relationship. Because my pattern was excuses. I had a 99 excuses for this. Oh, you want to go hang out? Oh, no, I'm sick. I don't want, my phone's dead. Or I didn't get the phone call because I didn't want to take the phone call. So I had a pattern with excuses. But then suddenly I realized that you need to not do these patterns and understand that the pattern speaks louder than a personality any day. So I thought that, if I checked on people and they checked on me, and if I made them feel important and they make me feel important, that I was completely doing the right thing. I was wrong. What would you do to talk to God? Dude, what? What would I do to talk to God and with God? I don't know. You can talk to God every day. It's not any hour, anytime you feel the desire, He's available. And that's when I started to pay attention to my personalities or people that I were dealing with that showed me patterns. I was attracted to patterns. And here's what I mean. When I say it's the patterns, and I'm even talking about myself, um, when I started mixing patterns with personality, even with myself, again, no, I will not say your name. It's okay. I don't know. Are you having a good day? Are you just a little trolling, doing a little trolling? It's like, hey, God bless you. Um, so when you're letting something go, and I feel like that, and letting go doesn't always mean letting go of a person. That could be letting go of people, places, or things. Like, this may sound ludicrous, but I had to let go. I was completely, and still I'm working on it. I was completely love love my caffeine. And that's hard to let go when you want to wake up every morning and have your caffeine or have your coffee. And I'm like, oh, I got to break that. And so I had to let go. So just remember that letting go doesn't necessarily just mean relationships. You can let go of, foods that you used to eat better. You let go again of a unhealthy friendship or unhealthy relationship. Letting go of being around certain atmospheres that you used to be around certain people and certain places you used to go to, and now you don't go there no more. You know, yeah, okay, but what, you didn't do anything. You didn't do anything at all. So, and I don't know. I just feel like that you're having a little time here typing apples and bananas, and that's okay because I'm good at annoying people. Um, but that's what I think you're doing, and I've been very respectful to you. And essentially, I think that you're trolling, and that's okay. Again, God bless you. I'm here for a reason because I want to be here, and it's okay. And again, and then that's just fine. So if you're having fun with that, what do you want me to do about it? Wake up, talk to God, eat breakfast, and yeah, you know what? And I tell you what is so beautiful about what you just said because you just said you wake up and you talk to God because now that is the first thing you're doing. You're waking up immediately and you're praying to God before your day even gets started. You're praying because you know what? Once you do that, you're praying, and this is again that is the first thing you do. Oh, first thing you wake up in the morning, you pray to God. Man, your day, oh my God, your day is so blessed because you're giving it to Him first thing in the morning. And Mr. Monkey, I've said hi to you several times, and I'll say hi to you again in case you missed that. So remember that patterns is something that people, tend to do repeatedly. They're doing it repeatedly in a personality. Those two things are completely different. Don't mix personalities with patterns because you can find yourself at a high risk. Hello, Oliver. How are you? I'm glad that you um, came into the thing today. So there are a few other questions that I have for you, my audience, of course, because I feel like that you guys subscribers and all of you guys mean the world to me. For you guys to be on my platform saying hello or whatever you say, I want to bless you all and I want to tell you that I love you all. And if you struggle with something, you struggle with letting something go, ask yourself, you know, am I really missing this in my life? If I let it go, will I really miss this? No, you probably will not. Can we please pray? I need to talk to God. Well, God is the top of all of any situation. Can I ask you this? What do you need? What are you feeling in your heart? Because praying, you can do that any time of the day, and I don't mind doing it with you, friend. You know, um, I pray that you have your strength and that whatever that you're going through, that is only temporary, and that seasons change, situations change, but as long as you're walking with God and our Heavenly Father, you will be fine. Just believe and trust. I had let someone go, and I know letting that heartbreak of letting someone go, it is, it is wordless because it is something that you get used to being around someone for years at a time or even 5 6 7 months at a time. That's still a connection, and then you have to let them go. And praying is the one way that I know for me. Praying, it helped me go on to the next day. It helped me make it through the rest of my day, the rest of my night, and throughout the night because those are, I think, at nighttime is when our heart hurts the most because, your attachment to those thoughts and that routine of that person always being there. But you did a big thing if you had to let them go, right? because that means you made a decision to let something go that was hindering you or hurting you. So for you to make that big, big, giant step, that is one, you are amazing. Two, you are super strong. And three, you are demanding your peace. So I salute you. And I pray in the name of Jesus that you continue to walk in faith. You continue to walk in grace and give yourself grace because we are unperfect. But lay it down, when you're feeling like, oh man, this heartbreak has become more than I can bear. Let go. Let God have that heartbreak because He's going to open the door for something better. You may hurt for now because I found myself, I went through a heartbreak, a breakup, and it was hard for me. It was 5 years of just giving and taking and hit and miss, hit and miss. The relationship, we were good some days, and when we were bad, it were bad. And so I eventually, I had to make a decision. Do I want to be in this situation where I'm feeling uncomfortable every other day and I'm walking on eggshells? Or do I want to be at peace where I may cry at 2 or 3 in the morning because I'm hurt, but I don't want to cry at 2 or 3 in the morning for the next 4 years, you know? So I understand, but I want to say that I think that you are strong and you have a lot of courage because you had to let someone go for your better peace, your better judgment to make room for better. And I'm not saying that that person was a bad person. They just probably wasn't the person for you, you know. And welcome in 4172. I'm not quite sure what your message is, but I do want to welcome you in. And just remember, because your peace does matter. Your peace is very important because without peace, you don't have anything. It's like chaos, 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 and you don't deserve to have that chaos. And also, if I had a friend that had to let go of some things, and I called this courage. Um, my friend, we're still friends to this day. She went through a moment of an addiction, and we all know, or some of us may know, that addiction is hard. You have to actually walk in the shoes of the addiction to understand addiction. And although I have not walked in those particular shoes, there are other things that I'm addicted to, like caffeine. There was a time that I was addicted to cigarettes, addicted to a lot of things that wasn't for me. But during this journey, she, her addiction became stronger and stronger, and she lost a lot of things. And about 3 years into her addiction, she started to realize that her addiction was controlling who she was. Like, that's all she thought about. And that's the thing about addiction. It gives you those thoughts of this is what I want. But then when the dust settles is when her heart completely furthered. And that's when her faith came to her. That's right. Jesus loves you and he died on our cross for sins. That is why I say it's okay to make mistakes because you will be forgiven. Um, and she forgave herself for being, addiction. She forgave herself for the things that she did not understand at that time frame that was in her mind state, you know. But then years of this, she began to see a different light. She wanted more. And she started little by little, going through therapy. Little by little, she went to classes where there were other people alike that could share the same pain. And then she gradually grew into her faith. Even though her faith was always there, it was just quiet to her because her addiction was louder than anything else, and that faith, again, he was always in her heart because he never left her side, but it was quiet to her. And when she heard that voice, she heard that that feeling of change, that desire, I want better, but I need help and I can't do this alone. You know what she did? She let go, let God. And just like you said, her sins were forgiven because that's what he died on the cross for, you know. So, as you journey through life, just remember that God is always there. And even when your darkest hours, your latest hours, the late nights that you've cried and you wonder why you were never alone, listen to your heart and your faith, 'cause God is good. And I want to say that I love all of you guys. Please like, subscribe, follow. And you guys know this is the Here and Now show. We do things that's here and that's now. So before I get off the air, as you guys know, I do 30 minutes in, and then I come back on the air, and you guys can ask questions. We can talk about whatever you guys want to talk about, and I'll be here for like another 10 minutes. But the difference is when I cast back on, um, I will be casting back on and I'll have an open window to where we can actually see each other if that's something you want to do. If you just want to leave a comment in the minor of the box, that's welcome too. Also, please remember to support Marshall's Books and More and my upcoming book, Missing My Daughter Ava. Book 1 and Book 2 is available and can be purchased at Amazon. These are books that are now ready. We have a book sign event coming up, and if you're interested in attending to my Zoom book meeting, please feel free to leave your email, and I will email you back with an invitation. So, with that being said, I thank you all for tuning in to the Here and Now show, and I shall return in about 2 seconds for questions for you guys. Open mic, and you guys can ask me any questions you want. I want to thank you guys. I love each and every one of you. Thank you for tuning in to the Here and Now show. I love you, Lavonda. Back in a few seconds for the minute after the hour. I'll see you guys in a few moments for questions.